Okay. Hi. Okay. I'm on a little early, so I might have to start again in 5 minutes, but probably not. I don't know how many people are going to come, but I like to get on a little early just to make sure that I have all this paperwork I need, and of course, naturally today they're doing some construction upstairs. So there's going to be a loud noise while I'm working here. So I'm going to probably do this over again when construction is not constructing. So I hope you can hear me and just forgive anything that you might hear in the background because it's all something of which I have no control. That's awful, isn't it? See, we want control of everything, I think, but we don't often get control of everything. But at any rate, I'm delighted to be with you today. And although there are 5 minutes before the start, I am going to start just a few minutes early because I'm going to make sure this is all working. And if I were to lose this part or not be able to use it because of the noise, I mean, I can live with that. All right. So I'm going to give you some little background about myself. Obviously, you know my name. It's Judy McKee. And what I do in life is, most of my life is I trained other people. And this course is all about training trainers. Although there are people who are attending who are not trainers, and it's because they're learning sales skills and things like that. And they really like that. So whatever I train, it comes out of my experience, which is one of the things I always tell my trainers. If you're going to teach anything, you need to come from your experience. Now, sometimes you don't have that opportunity because you don't have, you get a job to train other people, but you're not, they just give you the job in some of these call centers in some places like we're training dental labs right now across the country. They don't have a trainer just for customer service. They assume telling the people, be nice, be polite, say please, say thank you, is enough, but it's never enough. There's always a lot more to be done. So what I am going to do is give you some ideas about how I got started on this. And then at 10 o'clock, when the 10 o'clock hour hits and people start joining us, I am going to start with the actual program. But I wanted you to know that one of the reasons that I've been so successful in my training career is because I would try my best to figure out what worked and what did not work. Now, I did this because I had no college education. I didn't go to university to find out how to market or how to sell. I didn't know that. I was just took a job, got a license to sell real estate, and I just went to work. It was great. And I did. I went to work. And in the process of doing that, I found out a lot about that I didn't know a lot about it, and I was trying to believe in what other people told me. Now, I had a real legitimate problem here. And that problem is the other people, the people who were training me, I didn't like them, or it wasn't them personally. I just didn't like the training they were training me in. And I found out at one point that I was trustworthy. Now, what's interesting about that is when you meet a prospective client, you never know if they will get it that you are trustworthy. So you need to open up a conversation with them in a way that demonstrates that you are trustable. That's why you don't like people when they say, trust me when I tell you. See, immediately if someone says, well, honestly, I'll be honest with you, that sort of implies that they were not honest with you before. And so you actually shouldn't say honestly. And you shouldn't say, trust me. In one part of this training, I definitely said that I hoped I was trustworthy or trustable. And what I want you to see is that it's absolutely imperative that trust be the bottom line. Trust has to happen. So again, it's 10 o'clock, and I'm going to say this. I am Judy McKee. I own a business called McKee Consulting, LLC. It's on the internet. And we also have a secondary, well, we actually have 3 websites. One is on the positive coach approach. One is on everything that we do in the training area. The other one is called Kind Communications. And on that website, we sell our training programs that are online. And you can go to there anytime. You can send all of your staff one by one. They can sign in and take the training. It's very inexpensive, and it really works for the companies these days. Just like this session, it's like I have 27 people here, really, if all the people who signed up came when I do. They don't, though. Even though I'm live, they don't come now. They come at their convenience. They know I'm going to record it. They know it will be there later. They get busy. Well, in today's world, people really want things in short pieces. Now, I don't know if I can talk in short pieces. So what I do, and what I discovered worked really well for me, is I make this video. I stop at different points so that I can split the video and use pieces of it to train for, I don't know, 5, 10, 15 minutes, whatever it takes me to complete that. And by the way, I learned that from watching Aaron Sorkin on the Masterclass. I mean, he's one of the greatest screenwriters in the world, and to watch him work is amazing. And I found out that if he can do it, because he talks a lot, if he could do it in 5, 7, 10, 15-minute sections, I think he's got one section that's 20 minutes long, but there are 4 or 5 other people in the room with him. So I'm the same way. I talk a lot. I say a lot of different things. And the reason that I do that is because I absolutely believe that people learn in different ways, and that sometimes they don't see eye to eye with me. So I want them to have a chance to connect, because when I started my life as a salesperson, the only thing I did, and I still do it today if things go wrong, I mean it, I write down on a piece of paper, I split the paper down the middle, and on one side I write what worked today. On the other side, I write what didn't work today. What didn't work? And that was because I didn't have the education that a lot of people had when they went to their universities and learned different things. And my children all went to university, but I did not have that opportunity. So the best that I could do would be to read everything I could get my hands on, which of course I did. And the other thing I did was I vowed not to do anything that didn't work. So I would write lists every day of what worked and what didn't work. Now I'm going to give you an idea about what are the kinds of things that I did. I sent it out on the invitation, but of course I know no one prints out their invitations and they don't really read them. They say if it's something that moves them, they go for it, but otherwise they don't. So here is what I used to do, and these are the kinds of things that I discovered. I would figure out what worked by asking myself questions about, say, the phone call that I made, or the appointment that I had with the the appointment that I had with one of the prospective clients, either on the phone or in person. I did both things. It didn't matter what I did. At the end of the day, I wrote down what worked and what didn't work. So today I'm going to share with you what's on this paper, which is what was in the invitation, and you may not have really checked it all out. But there's no point in starting a training about questions unless you've thought seriously about what you want to get out of that training. What's in it for you? What's in it for me is the joy of teaching and training. I mean, I came out of retirement to do this because I was frankly bored. I joined a couple of charitable organizations and I work for them, which is great. And I still have a lot of time because I used to work 40, 50-hour weeks. And soap operas don't amuse me. And I have all too many movies to be able to watch, but that doesn't give me the experience. It doesn't thrill me. It doesn't give me satisfaction. So I'm really doing this for me, I admit it. And if you can take something from it that'll make your life work better, I love that. So I want to start with the fact that it would be wonderful if you could answer these questions for yourself and see if these questions help you to do a better job as a trainer, as a communicator in your family, or with anyone, as a matter of fact, anyone. So I would ask myself in terms of what really worked for me when I was, say, talking to a prospective client in real estate. It all started in real estate. I'd say, do I want to give over control of the conversation to the other person? Now, I'm a control freak, and a lot of you are too. We don't want to give up the control, but we sometimes do because we think it's the right thing to do. But I can tell you from my experience, it's never the right thing, especially when you know more than they do. As long as you know more than they do, you need to be asking the questions. Do I want the customer to choose the subject of the conversation? I don't usually. I want to sell them something. I promise I can be trustworthy. Although they don't know this, I'm not going to sell them anything they cannot afford. I'm not going to sell something just because I happen to have it. I'm only going to sell things that they could use. I have integrity and I trust myself. When I first went into real estate, that's when I discovered I don't need all their tricks. I'm not going to trick anybody. I never have, and I won't. I'm not going to trick people. I don't have to. They will see that I am worthy. I don't know how they're going to see that because I still don't know how to do everything, but I'm going to hope for the fact that since I can be trusted with their house and to do a good job for them, that they'll hire me. The next one. Do I want the risk of allowing the customer to feel wrong or stupid? Now, this goes back, let's see. I started my real estate career in 1979. Well, in 1974, 5 years prior, my girlfriend Sandy and I took a training, in which case we discovered that it's almost always true that the customer wants to be right. Now, doesn't mean like, Mr. Mars said, Mars candy bars, that they are right. Sometimes they're wrong. Sometimes they're stupid. Sometimes they're ignorant. Sometimes they're bad-mannered. But it is not my job to judge them, and that's the key. So I don't want to make my customer uncomfortable. I want them to have a safe space to be in. So do I expect the customer to grab the ball and run with it and hope that I catch up later? Well, I don't. I don't think they know where to take the ball. That's not my experience anyway. They usually know what they want, but usually what they want on the surface is not what they want underneath. And that's where the key is. See, people lie. All the great, I love to read detective novels, and all the great detectives say that people lie. Everybody lies. All people lie. Yeah, I probably told a few good ones in my day as well. But the thing is that What I want is for them to feel comfortable with me enough so that I can get what do they really want. In call centers, they would call me all the time, tell me they want to cut their call time. Cut their call time. So they think the way to cut their call time is to say less on the phones. Yet it's not working for them, but they don't want to admit that it's not working. But they will call me and say, Judy, can you help us cut our call time? And I can say, absolutely, I'll cut that call time in half. All right. So then what I know is what they really want to do is they want to make money in less time. All right. Let's see. Do I want the customer to doubt herself or himself? No, I don't. I want them to be confident. And the only way they can be confident is if they look at me and believe in me. You don't have to follow what I say. But if you were to try my methods, you will discover life is much easier for you. And one of the things to know about the customer is that they don't know the right questions to ask. They're not in your business, you see? So the customer doesn't know enough about your product or your service to ask the right questions. That's where your talent, success, and support comes in. When I learned that and realized that, I know more about selling your house than you do. But I'm not going to say I know more about doing this than you do, Mr. For Sale by Owner. What do you know? I do this every day. What do you know? See, that makes them feel what? Uncomfortable, wrong, and stupid. So I wouldn't do that. I tried because that's what my teacher taught me. My teacher said, pitch myself and my honesty and my ability and or ads or whatever. But it didn't work. It went on my list as that didn't work. They didn't like me when I said that. They didn't hire me when I said that. So note that the customer does not always know the right questions. If you're training a group, they don't know the right questions. They don't know what to ask you. I mean, you could open a classroom and a training and say, what do you guys want to ask me? And they won't ask you anything. They don't even know what to ask. Maybe somebody will dig very deep, but rarely. Do you think that the customer knows how to ask a question that is in the customer's own best interest? No, they don't. They don't know that either. They know how to shout at you. They know how to use evidence against you. They know how to find things that won't work, but basically, they don't know. And I want them to feel smart and right, and not feel wrong and stupid. So how can I do it? Well, I can do it with the llama technique and really good questions. Do I want approval before I ask the next question? Do I want approval from them? It'd be nice. I don't mind getting approval. I love approval. And so do you. Do I really want to use the pregnant pause, that pause or that trick to manipulate my customer? People do that all the time. They still teach it in many sales training courses, that we want to disrupt the customer. No, you don't. Think about it. You don't want to disrupt the customer. What a terrible word. They're using it now everywhere, but it means disruption. Now, it's okay with me if you open the mind of the customer by something smart, witty, educational, careful, sweet, nice, kind. It's okay with me if you open their minds that way, but not to disrupt them with some question like, how do you feel about safety? I mean, could they possibly answer that? Well, I don't believe in it. I mean, no, it's a trick. Okay. Do I expect the customer to help me with what I'm to do next? I think that's a great expectation. I don't think you can expect it. That's why we need to know the art of asking questions so we can get them to move in that direction, but at the same time, not make them feel wrong or stupid. All right. Now, the next thing that I did was I took a look at how I handled communication with someone else. I stopped and I studied it. I tape recorded myself. In those days, we had a thing from Radio Shack. Put it on our phones. It wasn't illegal. Well, it might have been illegal, but we did it anyway. And I started to look at questions that I asked myself in another way. I started to look at what happened on the phone call. Why didn't it go the way I wanted to when I love that person? Well, I don't really love them, but I like them and I want them to give me their business. If you don't ask a question at the end of your discourse or your side of the conversation, you give up control of the conversation. Now, that's the biggest lesson of all. The person who asks the questions is the person who's in control. That is clear. All you have to do is listen to any phone call. The problem becomes that the management who listens to the calls or the quality call checkers, when they listen, they're not listening for methodology. They're listening for rules. And when I did it, I wanted to hear, how did I lose that customer? Why don't they like me anymore? What did I do? I noticed I was no longer guiding the path of the phone call. I want to guide this call from beginning to end. I do. I will let certain people, now that I know how to do this and I'm a master at it, I'll let them as long as they're going in my direction. What do I care? I mean, if they're going to be going where I want to go anyway, I'll let them drive. But if they start to go where I don't want them to go, I have to take over the wheel. Okay. I trusted the customer to take over the path. I did that quite often in the early days because I thought that was the right thing to do. Well, it is not, and it never has, and it probably never will be. Occasionally, I let them drive, but only when they're doing what I want. Okay. I wondered why things didn't go my way. That was a good question I would ask. Why didn't it go my way? I'm good. I'm kind. I'm wonderful. I'm trustworthy. I'm good at my job. Why don't they trust me? I left dead air on the phone, and when I did, the customer seemed to be doubtful. Customer didn't know what to do. I would say, "This is Judy McKee, Jerry Burns Real Estate," and there was dead air. They would go, well, I wanted to talk to somebody about listing my house or selling my house or having someone come over and give me an estimate on what my house is worth or something like that." Oh, well, of course, that would be a heavenly call to get in real estate. But I couldn't answer it with something like, "Oh, I'd be glad to do that," and stop. Because then they go, okay, when? Or something. So I discovered that when I ended on a statement of any kind that didn't leave the door open for them to know what to do, they didn't like me again. They didn't want to do business with me. They were frightened or worried or insecure, or they didn't have self-confidence, which is, of course, ultimately the rule. I learned that other people don't have the same self-confidence that I have. You could leave dead air and I'll take over. But if I leave dead air and you don't take over, wow, it doesn't work. So yeah, when I left that dead air, I was acting like they have self-esteem and they know exactly where they're going and they're going to go to the right place. Not so. Not so. No. You didn't know what question to ask. Now, this came up for me a lot in the early days. It's not that, well, actually, I can think of 20 questions. When I say to somebody, "Give me a question," they don't know what question to ask, but I could have 20. It's just that I didn't know how to phrase them in the early days. And so I've learned since then to phrase them properly so that the question makes that customer feel right and smart to answer it. That is the key. It's not whether you ask questions, it's how you ask them. And how does the other person feel when you ask them a question? That's what you have to look for. You tried to ask a question and you didn't get the response you wanted. Classic, huh? You asked a question, but you didn't get the response you wanted, or any response, or you got dead air. See, if you get dead air, it means they don't know what to say. If you get an attitude, the question upset them in some way. And if you expected them to know what the next question ought to be, they might feel stupid because they don't. You do not know the self-esteem of the other person. You don't. You never do. And so your best bet is to ask a question that makes it safe for them to answer. You left the dead air and you hoped the customer would pick up the slack. I mean, that is all-time funny because often they do. And if it's an upset call, let's say it's not a sales call, let's say it's an upset in a customer service environment, well, that customer really has to pick up the slack because you don't know where to take it. And they don't know what to do either. You listened for approval before asking the question. Now, I have to explain that, meaning I said something and then said, okay, but really the question wasn't clear. So, okay is a wonderful question, and I use it a lot. But I wouldn't use it unless the customer were very clear. Otherwise, it might be a manipulation. I mean, you'd like to save money, okay? Wouldn't you? See, that's a manipulation. I did make a statement before the question, but the statement was a manipulation. So they don't feel comfortable. So they usually attack. You thought it was polite. That happens a lot in customer service. You thought you were the most polite customer service rep, or if you're training customer service reps, they think they're being very polite by responding kindly, warmly, in a friendly manner to the customer without asking a question because they may feel that the question is intrusive. If you word the question right, it's not intrusive. What happens is it guides and it gives confidence to the customer that they did the right thing. You didn't initiate the next part of the conversation. You answered the question, but it didn't take the call to the next place. Now you have dead air and you have quality call checkers checking the amount of time you left dead air. They report the minutes, the seconds, the minutes, and the hours, and they cost money. And then the boss says, could you do something that would shorten my call time? You allowed the subject of the conversation to be up to the other person. That is a big mistake when you are handling customer service, especially because the customer could go on and on with the story of their life. Longer call time. Trainers, your customer service reps want to be nice. Okay, everybody wants to be nice deep down. Nobody comes in to be mean or ugly. So let's take that to the bank. Let's take a look at what kinds of questions should we ask ourselves. Are we getting the results that we want, or are we getting the reasons we don't get the results? All right. Okay. I think that's the end of this session. Let's move on to another session, but I think that that's a very good lesson to learn. My name is Judy McKee. Go look at your questions. Go look at the questions that you were asked in the email. There's a list of them. And check to see what you're correcting, especially if you're a trainer or a manager or a quality assurance person. Go and think more clearly about the questions. I mean, the fact that I could even write down 20 questions here. It's easy for me. I know it's not easy for everyone else, but it's very easy for me. So let's have it be easy for our agents, our call center agents, and our friends, and the ones we love. Let's not ask the ones we love questions that hurt their feelings. That doesn't make sense, does it? No. Let's ask them better questions. Let's be smarter. Let's care more about them. You know, there was a West Wing program years ago when the president played chess with about 4 people at the same time in different rooms. And one person should have beat him. He wanted the one person to beat him because he really liked him. And he wanted to take him on to some other bigger jobs. And he went and looked at him. And he said to the man who was playing chess with him, he said, look at the whole board. Look at the whole board. See, most of us are looking into life through this little tube. We have to open up and look at the whole board, not just what question we asked, but what happened out here when we asked that question. That's what we want to know. It's good to be with you today. This is Judy McKee saying goodbye. Tune into the next one, and we'll actually start the program of the art of asking a question. All right. Bye-bye.